Welcome to Why is Sylius great for Mark Architectures? So who are we? So I'm Clément. I'm a Chief Digital Officer at Limoges, which is one of the 3 brands from the Groupe Rosa. And I'm joined with Elodie.
Hello, so I'm Elodie. I'm Head of Tech of Groupe Rosa.
So what is Groupe Rosa? Groupe Rosa is a French group composed of 3 French brands, each leader in their own category. The first brand, and we're going to talk a lot about them today, is Envie de Fraise, founded in 2006. It's actually France's first DNVB. It's a leader in maternity clothing for the ladies out there. Feel free to check it out. Really cool products. As you can see on the right, we also have some retail stores, 2 actually in Paris, with 8 countries where we sell, mostly Europe and the US. And we have more than 30 employees, and we are based in Paris. Our second brand is Limoges, founded in 1923. So we are going to be a century old next year. Great party coming for that. We retail in 42 stores, 41 in France and 1 in Brussels, Belgium. We are leader in premium household linen, as you can see on the right. Really cool products as well. And we also have great retail stores. We have more than 200 employees, and we are sold in 5 channels. So we're in B2B, e-commerce, obviously, order by phone, retail, and mail order. And quick fact, Limoges was actually the brand that pretty much invented mail ordering like a century ago. So we're growing fast. Thanks to e-commerce, because mail ordering is not growing as much as it used to be a century ago. So e-commerce is pretty much the channel of the future for the brand. So we have 2 main focus points nowadays. First one is to allow our e-commerce to be as agile and future-proof as possible, because currently 2 of the 3 brands are based in an external agency for the e-commerce. They use a really old and customed Magento 1 solution, so we can do pretty much anything that we want. So we are looking for something new, something better, more flexible, more modular. And the second thing is to create a framework that would facilitate our international expansion. So Limoges, as I said, is in 4 countries. I didn't say, but we're in 4 countries. So France, Belgium, Germany, and Austria. We're looking to expand way past that, Europe to start, and then the world, maybe. But for that, we need really a framework that would help us. Last but not least, François Saget, founded in 1982, so quite old brands, 40 years old today. Leader in affordable household linen, pretty much same as Limoges, but more affordable and more colorful products, as you can again see on the right. We're sold in 4 channels, so exactly the same as Limoges, except B2B. I'm gonna talk really loud because of the guys next door. And we have more than 100 employees. And I didn't mention it, but Limoges is based on the east of France, and François Saget is based in Britain, France. So we cover pretty much the whole country. So, I know why you're here, the project. Well, this all came to be in 2017, at a time where Envie de Fraise was not part of Groupe Rosa yet, and we were running a superb technology called PrestaShop. In its best version, 1.5, and with a PHP version 5.4. So already in 2017, we were deprecated. But why? Why do you keep this? Well, for us, PrestaShop was a big, giant monolith, and it was comprising everything in the company. It really happens, especially in small DNVB. When you begin, you have pretty much everything in your e-commerce, and then when you want to move from that, it gets really complicated. So, we thought about something new, something that would help us open new territories faster, something that would answer customer needs quicker, and as a bonus, not be a technical debt from day one. And we met with, so we looked we looked around, and two solutions came in light. I won't pick favorites today, but one of them was Sylius, and the other one was Magento. And we quickly saw that Sylius quickly answered most of our points, allowing us to customize heavily the solution without being stuck in spaghetti code. We also started at the same time working on a few best-of-breed solutions because the internal team was Elodie. So we wanted to ensure top-of-the-line features and security patches while I'm losing myself, while alleviate Elodie in her day-to-day job because she can't build anything, even if I really would like to. So we started to implement a lot of best-of-breed solutions like Algolia, Zendesk, Attract for merchandising, Akinio, and many more. But I'll talk about that later. 2 years in the making, because soon after, when we were ready to launch, Envie de Fraise joined Groupe Rosa. And the two bigger brands weren't so sure that Sylius, this small company from a random guy from Poland, was a great solution. So we were like, okay, let's see if it can work for the three brands. So we asked some guys, the Synolia. I don't know if you know them, they're right there. So if you have questions, feel free to ask them. But we asked them to discuss, we discussed with them and asked them if Sylius was a great solution or if Magento was a good choice. So they did a thorough analysis of the three brands and each specific needs, and as I think you guessed, from Envie de Fraise, DNVB to Linvauge, which is 100 years old, many things differ in how they do business. And yet, they came out with a solution that is pretty obvious, but we choose Magento. Just kidding. We chose Sylius. Because our idea for decentralization and best-of-breed solution was still a perfect fit for the group. Because even if you have a complex way of doing business, if you really try to build a good architecture with a good API and use top-of-the-line solutions, it can work for DNVB and it can work for a century-old company. And just after that, we decided to work with Synolia again to help us co-develop the project because it was huge. From the work in the analysis to the expertise with Sylius, we know that they were and still are a perfect fit for this project. So we began the development in March 2020. Probably the best year to start any project because it's the same time COVID really took off in France, forcing the company to freeze the project and starting again 1 month later, but full remote. And that was really a pain because it really handicapped the beginning of the project. We planned to have many physical meetings with them, Synolia, internally, and we had to pretty much do anything remotely, so it was really hard to adapt to that. We still worked it out, we advanced in the project, and at one point we heard about a new concept that was coming along. It pretty much matched with what we were actually doing, the MACH architecture. So what is that? Well, MACH architecture, the MACH stands for microservices-based, API-first, cloud-native SaaS, headless. The MACH Alliance has a manifesto, and for that they have a vision, which is future-proof enterprise technology and propel current and future digital experiences. Sounds fancy, but what does it mean? What is behind those 5 letters? Microservices. So specific features or business functionality that can be independently developed and deployed. In other words, if we take back office, if you split your cart, your product information, your customer, your search into different bricks that would all be connected together and while still being independent. So to link them together, we use API. That one is simple. Everything must be exposed through an API, which means no more CSV to exchange data, which is, the ban of everything that we try to do technical-wise. So this is a bit of our best-of-breed solutions that we have. It's not everything that we use, but it's a good idea. So we have many, many solutions, and I will give you some of the names if you want as well. So we use Binder for digital asset management, Prismic for CMS. We use Attract for merchandising, Algolia for internal search engine, and we also use them as search as categories, which means that when you go to a category, more than just hitting on our database, we just hit Algolia's database because it's cheaper for us. And then we have Akinio for product information management, Zendesk for customer services, and last but not least, Odoo for ERP. And obviously at the middle, Sylius and Gatsby for the front. But Elodie will tell you more about that. Cloud native. Beyond just the cloud storage, by cloud native, we're talking about leveraging the specific features that only cloud solution can offer, such as elastic scaling and automatic updating. So we're just not talking having everything on an EC2 and just go with it. That's not really how you leverage the cloud. Finally, headless. So headless means that our front end is decoupled from the back end. That stores all the logic. This allows the back end to be channel, framework, and even programming language agnostic, which is the case for us because Gatsby is in JavaScript and obviously Sylius is PHP. So, why pick MACH architecture with Sylius? Well, it really allows us to be more agile, to have more evolutivity and more reactivity. Because one thing that we know is we've been working, like I think many of you, in e-commerce for many years, and trends are moving faster and faster. And we need to react at the same time. Because when the business comes, we need to react as fast as we can and provide the solution to them, because it's business. So now that you understand why we picked MACH and what it is, I'll let Elodie tell you more about what MACH means for us.
Thank you. So MACH for us, I will try to explain you how Sylius was good for MACH architecture for us with our project. So microservices, by design, Sylius is including a lot of business features you can choose to use or not. And you can call them individually thanks to the API, like said Clément. But you can also add more of them by using the plugin marketplace or develop them internally. As Handled is so specific, we choose to develop some of them internally, like the CRM feed manager or the Akinio bundle, thanks to Syndolia. And that's all. As you probably know, Sylius has a complete e-commerce API. So it's easy to customize it with API platform by overriding the existing API or by adding resources you can access from this API. For example, we had some information for our project that the front end needed, so we customize it easily, and we can have some information we stocked on the Akinio, for example, or things like that. The API-first approach makes it easy to choose our solutions because we needed well-documented and with good API solutions, so the best of breeds principally, and could choose whatever solution we wanted. But sometimes you can't pick the solutions because they're already there and you can change it. So we built another solution to be an interface between the API, Sylius, and the rest of the architecture. So we built the middleware. The middleware is between Sylius and Odoo, our ERP, because we have to overcome the slowness of Odoo to prevent timeout or things like this. We built a queue system and retry system. So for example, when Odoo takes too long or things like this, we can retry and resend the order who couldn't be completed. The cloud native. More than storage, Sylius is the cloud. it permits to facilitate and automate deploys, auto-scaling, which is a must-have for all our businesses. So MACH is not designed for an on-premise solution. So at the beginning, we choose platform SH to automate deploys and to deploy our site websites without having expertise. And if you don't need very many customizations or things like this, it's perfect. But we quickly were limited by this solution. When we did our load tests, we had sizing problem, deadlocks. So it's perfect if you don't need to be precise, but it wasn't good for us. We choose to switch to Amazon Web Service Meet project. So we decided to hire someone to manage it in-house. And it permitted to do, for example, the middleware too. The middleware with lambdas, step functions, IP gateway. Some great services Amazon provides. And it's serverless, it's scalable, and so it was perfect for our project. The headless part. So natively, Sylius allows to be headless. And we could choose whatever solution we wanted. So we choose Gatsby, which is a framework based on React. And it permits also to split responsibilities. So you can have a front end, whichever language you want, and the back end otherwise. And it's easy to interact with all our API or the ERP because you go through Sylius to talk to them, and the payload are all standards. So what are the main takeaways? I think one of the big things is to reduce dependencies, because, for example, with the API-first approach, we had some issues. We could, if, for example, some APIs are down, or if we didn't respond, the customers couldn't buy on our shop. So we thought already about an alternative mode for our next project. For example, by sending asynchronously the data and things like this. One thing which is important is the monitoring and to be reactive. So we are monitoring every API systems we are using, so we can know instantly when something's down or if there is an issue and where it is, so we can be effective when fixing it. And another thing is to do it step by step. We had difficulties migrating all of our infrastructure at once. So we didn't have the choice because we used the PrestaShop, and we have a legacy of this project. When I arrived, there was one developer and no documentation, and we had to continue to maintain it, but we couldn't keep it forever, so we had to change, but we had to change it all at once. So if possible, it's preferable to migrate it step by step, gradually, and if possible, one functionality by functionality or solution at once. And now, I let Clément talk about the business.
Thanks. Yeah, so one thing that we really didn't talk about really is the business team. Because one thing that we figured is that we were so focused on the technical aspects of building this project that we forgot just one small team, the business guys. And having so many solutions complexifies the technical aspects, of course, but we know how to handle that. We have documentation, obviously. But it also complexifies your business team workflow. Because, as you saw, we have many solutions, and I spread you a bunch. The business parts, the business people that need to use them, actually, have to switch from just using one solution or two to using a bunch of them. So if I take a small example, if you have to change the homepage, Then you have to go to the digital asset manager to boot your banner. Then you have to go to Prismic to actually change it and do the whole CMS part of it. Then you can go to localize and handle the translations. Then you go to Sylius to handle the ranking of the categories. And then you go to attract to handle the merchandising of it. So for the business, it's a lot. So you really need to put them into the project as soon as you can, especially if you if you develop using agile things like Scrum. Then it's iterative, so you know you're building something over and over and over. If you start like we did from product page, you can already give them access to some of the tools, explain to them, let them play with it. It's really important to have them engaged into the project. And the more they use it, the more they're going to be relieved when the deployment is there. Because if pretty much the week or 2 weeks or even a month before that, you just tell them, okay, you have 6 tools to learn, and that's going to be your work from tomorrow, they're going to run to pretty much the direction and say, no way, we can't do that. That's going to be too much work for us. And they're right. So really, one thing I cannot emphasize enough is please show the business people what you do. Explain to them how to use the tool from the beginning of the project and help them grow their knowledge of every solution that they're gonna use at the same time as you are learning how to develop them. All right, let's talk about the future. So, we did Envy the Fraise. Great project, but now we're moving to the big guys. So Limoges, it's a whole new world. As I said, they pretty much invented mail ordering a century ago. So I'm gonna let you just imagine how the ERP is working. A lot of CSV files, obviously. So from our point of view, switching from a DNVB that has pretty much everything, every feature of any e-commerce brand, is really a different project from adapting what you're doing to a really old company. And that's really great because that's where Sylius shines. Because we can customize everything and it's not going to be a legacy code as soon as you launch it. As I said just before, don't forget to engage with the business team. It's another team for us. They're brand new people, and the only thing they learned is that the other guys from Envy the Fraise have a hard time using all the new set of tools and solutions. So engage with them really fast, and we already are doing it. And then François Saget, sorry. And François Saget is the best of both worlds. It's an oldish company, so they have this historic way of doing things as well, but they are more modern on the digital wise. They have more experiences on how to do e-commerce, and they are more future-proof already on how they are doing things. So it's easier for us to, after Limoges and after Envy the Fraise, it's pretty much a mix of them. So we're doing that, and that's going to take us a few months, a few years maybe. But that is why we're currently hiring as well, like pretty much every company that we saw today. So feel free to join us. By the way, Elena and Olivier are not part of the team. I'm legally obliged to tell you that. But yeah, feel free to slide in our DMs for more information. And yeah, we are here if you have any questions regarding this. Thank you. And thank you, Kevin, for the great picture. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Which part of your migration was the most difficult in all your solutions you put in place?
Okay. Yeah, so Odoo. it's going to be always the answer. So as Elodie said, one of the hardest part was the ERP, because as opposed to Linvoge and François Saget, they already have an old ERP in place. So it's shit, but it's there. For Envie de Fraise, they had to build it at the same time as we were. So oftentimes they were telling us specifications like, we're going to work this way, the API call is going to work this way, you're going to have this response, and we didn't, or it didn't work. To give you some quick view of it, we were supposed to have the fully complete API in April 2020, and we had it in April 2022, so close enough. But yeah, that was the hardest part, because the thing they were building was so huge that it handicapped us all the way. Because even more than that, most of the solutions are the end part of it, right? Or the beginning. Like the digital asset manager, it's the beginning. So if you don't have it, you prioritize, you do it, and then everything flows and you can do everything else. But because we didn't have it wasn't on us, it was another team doing that. I didn't specify, Odoo, but Odoo was done by another agency. And because of that, we didn't choose how to prioritize things. So we oftentimes had to wait for them to finish, see that it didn't really comply with the specifications, and then we had to change how we process it in Sylius, and then we had to change it how to process it in the front end. So yeah, that was the biggest pain for us. Any other questions? Yeah.
Hi. I have a question regarding bringing the business people along. What kind of processes have you found to be most effective for doing so? We're currently in the same situation where we have developed a bunch of stuff, but the business people aren't following. Sorry, I can speak a bit louder. So, what kind of processes have you developed for getting the business people along with you, like to understand your tools? Because, yeah.
At the beginning of the project, we used the demos to show them what we were doing and so on. But some of them came, but some others didn't show any time. There was the same person always. So we try to talk to them, but that's something that we are trying on actually to do. And for Linvoge, there's a lot of presentation and there's a lot of presentation. They are trying now, before the project is beginning, to include them so they know that they are a part of the project.
Yeah, one small thing to add about that as well is that one thing that changes between the two projects is sponsor. What is really important is to engage the sponsors and the highest direction into the project, so that it's not just another thing, but that they are also moving in the same direction as the technical team, saying this is the future, you need to go to that. And what we actually did for Linvoge is that I just became Chief Digital Officer, so I'm the guy that is now the customer of what the technical team is doing. So this is what it changes for us, and this is where it's really important, because what we had in Envie de Fraise is that the sponsors weren't so happy or didn't feel the need to do this project, although it was obvious that we needed to do it for many reasons. By the way, we got hacked 2 times while we were doing the project. Obviously, PrestaShop was hacked, not Sylius. But yeah, it's like security is really important. We talk about it. But suddenly, when the business is realizing that they might have to email every 1 million customers that you have that, sorry, we just got hacked, they suddenly realized how important it is. But for the business people, they really don't care that much, and they're right. So yeah, it's the sponsor of the project have to engage the people, the business people, to really go there, see what you're building, and on the technical side, you really have to create a discussion with them, because As Elodie said, we had many demos, and the point is just not to show them what you did in your sprint, because they don't care. But asking them what they think about it, if they think that it's cool enough, or if they have any idea of how to improve it, because that's agile, so that's pretty much the point of it. This is where it becomes a discussion, and this is where you engage them way more easily. And last point is, obviously, as I said, just bring them on the tools as soon as you can. Because when you have a complete website with 3,000 pages on the CMS, it's a complete different story from when you have just one page, one product page, just because you just did one for the first sprint. And they're trying to see, like, oh, I can change this label, and I can move that around, and that's cool, because I have just 3 things I can do. So yeah, so it's way easier to embark them at the beginning and have the sponsor help them in that direction as well. Thank you.